Cheep, cheep, cheep. Cheep, cheep, cheep.
Pumpkin farmers must really love this town. Give it a couple days. Flies will too. The heroes of our tale are trick-or-treaters. Ren and Reynold. Twins. You play as one of them, and when the other gets kidnapped by the Repugians, it's your task to save them, depending on which one of them you chose to be. Quick side note, very novel approach to character selection. And how do you succeed in this monumental quest? Apparently by getting as much candy as possible. Trick-or-treating all over the neighborhood, but unfortunately for some of the houses, the normal occupants aren't home. Well, I don't know who lives in this neighborhood, maybe Repugians are an improvement on some of them. And how do you defeat these monsters? By transforming into giant versions of the costumes you and your party are wearing. And then engaging in a giant monster fight. I'm sure if you think hard enough, you'll figure out a way to get from point A to B here. Because the game doesn't explain how this happens. But never mind all that matters is that this is awesome. No reason necessary. Absolutely incredible. I mean, where else can you play as a child who transforms into a giant cat that fires lightning from its forehead at some kind of sentient crow's spellcaster? Let's start with the visuals. It's absolutely adorable. Big eyes, cel shading, cheek dots, homemade costumes. And it's kind of unique in cuteness terms because it exists in some pretty dense darkness, especially in the town mall. From the second floor up, it's almost pitch black. Presumably done by mall management to make their promotion of having kids trick-or-treat in a mall make sense. In spite of the health and safety concerns, kids fumbling about sightlessly, technically in the air, surrounded by adult strangers, while still functioning escalators churn and churn like grinders. Ah, fantasy. These visuals combined with the spooky Halloweeny music really helps sell the whole small town wonder feeling. I mean, it's no Hogwarts, but it's still a lovable and mysterious place, filled with a few secrets. To collect, I mean. The story doesn't take a sharp turn into small town true crime territory. There are sewers to explore, but no basement. This trick-or-treating simulator pretty much has fantasy built in, because the very concept of trick-or-treating itself is kind of fantastical. Small children in the dead of night, going around to get candy. Dialogue-wise, the game does have its strengths. Funny and clever moments are common, or at the very least found. There are no vocals, but it is worth reading. Although some of the best lines are found outside of the cutscenes. And it's easy to miss them if you're not willing to go on a personality scavenger hunt. Yeah man, are you honestly not gonna start a conversation with a kid dressed as a banana? How's the gameplay? Light and varied. Combat revolves around your costumes. Each one has a different main attack and special power. The combat is turn-based in a way common to JRPGs, but with simple quick-time events. The combat never gets that difficult. And while the costumes do have different skills and attributes, there very rarely is any need for strategy. Apart from math. How many attacks would it take to take this enemy down? In what order should I attack them? Should I focus on one enemy and take them out to prevent them counterattacking? Or should I wait it out until the third turn so you can hit them all with all of your specials? Equip battle stamps for your preferred playstyle. Boost attack, add splash damage, poison. Maybe TP to throw at someone so they lose a turn. But usually just boosting the damage output gets the best results. Maybe in the party formation of 2 attack costumes and 1 defender/healer. Tactics wise, it's nothing that taxing. And for the average battle, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. but during the boss battles you experience a nice little spike in difficulty. Sure, this may seem repetitive, and I suppose technically it is, but the game isn't long enough for you to get bored with it really, and any feelings of boredom are quickly subdued by other avenues of gameplay. Maybe distract yourself with minigames such as bobbing for apples. Or maybe join a killer game of hide and seek. These kids are really missing out on some good trick-or-treating if they're just playing hide and seek all night. And there's also exploration of the neighborhood, which entails very, very minor puzzle elements. It's actually closer to Metroidvania-esque unlocking of new pathways in order to get round to the secrets. Candy, costume materials. Splendid. I'm a firm believer that the strength of a game with JRPG-esque combat is inextricably linked to the quality of the distractions available to distract you from said combat. To prevent fatigue. And this game does have some nice ones, and even if it didn't, as I've said, the game isn't that long. It only took me 10 hours to complete, and that's if you engage in all of these side activities. It doesn't come anywhere near to outstaying its welcome. Quite uncommonly short for a game with JRPG-esque turn-based combat. So if that's what you're looking for, this is a unique outlier. That kind of combat for someone with not a lot of time on their hands. Fight, explore, play a minigame, appreciate the dialogue. It can really flow. It's kind of a masterclass in light entertainment. Plus, seeing yourself raking all that candy is pretty hypnotic. Like cascading, clinking coins that are bad for you. By the way, that is the game's currency. The game is cheap on Steam. 109 Rand full price, and 27 Rand 25 on sale. That's 2 Rand 73 per hour of gameplay, which is quite nice. And it's a pretty good download, as it only takes up 635 megabytes on the hard drive. Reasonable. And stereotypically, it is kid-friendly. It's cute and everything. At most, maybe don't try it on your younger kids, because it has really pronounced darkness, and sometimes some kind of sudden and scary moments. And it works on a warhorse. Maybe it has a slight stutter, a slight lag, but in my opinion I feel it is quite playable in that state. And ultimately is easy to run. The game has cute design, cute visuals, great Halloween feel. It maybe has aged a bit visually, and has some unrefinements visually, such as those very strange dark patches, and maybe some edge, but ultimately cute. Has nice Halloweeny music, not many tracks I believe. The story's fun, and the dialogue has a tendency to be funny and clever, or at the very least, the pleasant nature of the world carries it, and the dialogue's good enough to facilitate that. Go and explore the neighborhood. The gameplay is fun and a bit varied, at least compared to the short time frame of the game. It's small, tight, compact, lovely. On the maybe side, you have to read, and also the game is very simple. I mean, light entertainment at its best, but for some it might feel very light. So light that the cuteness and the funny, pleasant world isn't enough to carry it home. The combat is very simple. The costumes have different quicktime events, but that quicktime event stays the same from attack to attack. Tactically, it is not demanding at all, really, apart from during the boss battles. And even then, usually what's expected of you is quite light, I believe. All the tactical decisions aren't really necessary. Going simple will cover you for most of it. And the exploration, while fun, is simple, light. But I argue it's fun, especially for the short time frame. It's just a lovely little experience, quite well rounded. A delightful small town draped in pumpkins and candy. Come on, play it. It's quite sweet. It's absolute punishment.
Choip, choip, choip. Choip, choip, choip.